The colony planet Varix had once been a place of hope, rich with forests, crystal lakes, and wide-open skies. It promised a fresh start to the settlers who had left their war-torn homeworlds behind. But hope had faded. Now Varix was a dying world. The sky was choked with ash from the constant storms that ravaged the surface. The trees, once tall and proud, stood blackened and broken. The settlers had been fighting for survival for months, trapped in a small outpost surrounded by hostile wildlife and a creeping, unknown threat lurking in the shadows. Captain Alina Carter stood on the ridge overlooking the settlement. Her sharp eyes scanned the horizon, searching for signs of rescue or relief. Instead, all she saw was a bleak landscape, the ground cracked and scarred, and the heavy, dark clouds swirling like a warning. Inside the command center, a low hum filled the air. The comms officer, a young man named Jox, was busy sending out the colony's last hope. An SOS signal blasted out into the void of space. It was a desperate call, begging for help from any ship that could hear them. This is Varix Colony. Emergency distress. We are under attack by unknown forces. Need immediate assistance. Repeat. Urgent help required. Jox's voice was steady, but the tension was clear. Elena's hands clenched into fists. The message would take hours, maybe days, to reach any nearby fleet. And even then, there was no guarantee help would come. Suddenly, the main screen flickered. A radar blip appeared, a fleet approaching at high speed. Hope sparked in everyone's eyes. "Is that our rescue team?" one of the engineers whispered. But as the ships grew closer, their shapes became clear. Not the friendly fleet they had expected. These were Deathworlders, a species known across the galaxy for their brutal combat skills, merciless tactics, and terrifying reputation. They were the last kind of help anyone wanted. Elena's heart pounded. The settlers had begged for help. But now, the most dangerous species in the galaxy had answered. The Deathworlder fleet hung in the sky like a dark storm waiting to break. Massive warships, black and jagged, cut through the clouds. Their engines roared with power, shaking the ground beneath the colony. The settlers watched in silence, fear and hope twisting inside their chests. Captain Alina Carter stood at the command center window, her jaw tight. "They're here," she whispered. But her voice held no relief, only dread. "Why would the Deathworlders answer our call?" Jox asked quietly, eyes fixed on the approaching ships. Alina shook her head because they heard an opportunity. The Deathworlders were famous across the galaxy. Fierce warriors from a planet where only the strongest survived, they were known. For brutal efficiency and zero mercy, many believed they were more monster than species. A voice crackled over the colony's speakers. It was Deathworlder Commander Karos, his tone cold and sharp. "We received your distress call. Explain your situation and be quick." Alina stepped forward. "We are settlers under attack by unknown forces. We need protection and assistance. Our people are dying." There was a long pause. Then Karos replied, "Help comes at a price. Prepare to meet your new guardians." Settlers exchanged uneasy looks. What kind of help demanded a price so high? Outside, the first Deathworlder scouts landed. Towering figures in dark armor moved with unnatural speed. Their eyes glowed, faint red scanning the broken land. Mira, one of the colony's engineers, watched from a distance. "They don't look like saviors," she muttered. "Maybe they're not," Alina agreed. Suddenly alarms blared. Sensors detected movement in the dark woods surrounding the colony. Strange shapes creeping closer. The enemy was coming again. But this time, the Deathworlders were ready. As the battle began, the settlers saw the Deathworlders' terrifying power. Their weapons fired with deadly precision, their combat skills unmatched. Yet there was no mercy in their actions. Some settlers cheered, less stared in horror. Alina realized the truth. The Deathworlders might save them from one enemy, but they could become the greatest threat of all. The battle outside raged like a storm. The Deathworlders fought with brutal skill, cutting down the strange creatures that attacked the colony. Their weapons were unlike anything the settlers had seen, sharp, powerful, and unforgiving. Strike left no chance for mercy. Inside the command center, Captain Alina Carter studied the Deathworlders carefully. They were efficient. Yes, but their eyes, cold and unblinking, told another story. These warriors were not here to protect. They were here to control. Jax leaned close to Alina, voice low. They're not just helping us. They want something. Alina nodded slowly. And we need to find out what before it's too late. Meanwhile, Mira, the engineer, worked furiously to repair the colony's defenses. These creatures, attacking us, they're different from anything in the records. Fast, smart, and ... deadly. What if the Deathworlders caused this? Her words hung in the air. Could the Deathworlders have brought this nightmare with them? Outside, Commander Caros spoke to his squad in their harsh language. Plan it for the Deathworlders. He did not care about the settlers' fate. Back inside, Alina gathered a small group of trusted allies. We have to find out their plan. If they betray us, we must be ready. The tension grew with every passing minute. The colony was no longer just fighting to survive. It was caught between two deadly forces, and the worst was yet to come. Days passed, but the tension inside the colony only grew thicker. The Deathworlders stayed on alert, their dark eyes watching. Every move, settlers whispered among themselves. Fear mixing with hope, Captain Alina Carter couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The attacks outside had stopped, but the colony was no safer. One evening, Mira made a shocking discovery. While repairing the energy grid, she found strange marks on the wall symbols she didn't recognize. They glowed faintly under the colony's lights. Look at this, she said, showing Alina and Jax the strange signs. Alina frowned. What does it mean? Jax shook his head. No idea, but I don't like it. Then a scout burst into the command center, breathless and wide-eyed. Commander Caros is leading a team into the Forbidden Zone, the old ruins outside the colony. They found something. Alina's heart pounded. The Forbidden Zone was a place no one dared to explore, full of ancient alien ruins and unknown dangers. We need to know what they found, Alina said firmly. Send a team with them. As the group moved into the ruins, the air grew heavy. Strange noises echoed from the shadows. Then they found it, a hidden chamber filled with alien technology unlike anything they had seen before. A glowing artifact sat at the center, pulsing with energy. Is this what's causing the attacks? Mira whispered, before anyone could answer. The artifact suddenly flared, sending a shockwave through the ruins. The ground trembled, and from the shadows, something moved, something alive, powerful. Now they faced a threat older than anyone imagined, and the Deathworlders were at the center of it all. The ruins shook with the shockwave from the glowing artifact. Dust filled the air, and the team stumbled backward, eyes wide with fear. Commander Caros stood still, his red eyes fixed on the artifact. This power is ancient, dangerous. Lena stepped forward, voice steady despite her pounding heart. What does it mean? Is this why our colony was attacked? Caros nodded grimly. That artifact awakens something. Something that threatens more than just this world. The settlers and Deathworlders exchanged uneasy glances. For the first time, they shared a common enemy. We must work together, Alina said firmly. If we don't, we all will be destroyed. Reluctantly, Caros agreed. The Deathworlders were fierce and proud, but even they knew this ancient power was beyond their control. Over the next days, the settlers and Deathworlders formed an uneasy alliance. They shared knowledge, weapons, and strategies. Mira worked closely with Deathworlder engineers, trying to understand the artifact's secrets, but trust was fragile. Every moment held the threat of betrayal. At night, whispers spread among the settlers. Some feared the Deathworlders would turn on them the first chance they got. Others believed this alliance was the only hope. Alina kept a close watch on both sides. We're stronger together, but danger lies in every shadow. Then, a new warning came. The artifact's power was awakening creatures buried deep beneath the planet's surface. Dumpdal, the real battle was only beginning. the uneasy alliance between settlers and Deathworlders was fragile, hanging by a thread. But even as they worked side by side, the colony's danger deepened. Deep beneath the planet's cracked surface, ancient creatures stirred. The artifact's pulsing energy had woken them from long slumber, monstrous beings born in darkness and chaos. They were unlike anything the settlers or Deathworlders had ever faced. One night, alarms blared across the colony. Sensors detected movement underground, massive tunnels shaking, and dark shadows crawling closer. Alina stood at the command center, her face pale but determined. Prepare for an attack. This time it won't be just from above. The Deathworlder. Warriors readied their weapons, growling low in anticipation. Their usual cold confidence was tinged with something new, respect for the enemy that awaited. Mira hurried to Alina. The artifact's energy is growing stronger. If we don't stop it, these creatures will destroy everything. Alina nodded. Then, we destroy the source, no matter the cost. The battle underground was fierce. Settlers and Deathworlders fought back to back against the monstrous creatures clawing from the darkness. The air was thick with dust and fear, the ground shaking beneath their feet. At one point, a massive creature lunged at Alina. She barely dodged, heart racing. She fired her blaster, the beam striking true. But more kept coming. Commander Karos fought beside her, his savage strength unmatched. "We hold this line," he shouted, rallying the warriors. But the darkness kept coming, endless, relentless. Alina realized the only way to end this was to destroy the artifact itself, even if it meant risking everything. She turned to Mira. "Can you shut it down?" Mira hesitated. "It's risky, but yes. If I can reach the core, I can stop the power." Alina took a deep breath. "Do it, we'll cover you." As Myra rushed to the artifact's chamber, the battle raged harder than ever. The fate of the colony and everyone on Vorex rested on a knife's edge. Myra sprinted through the crumbling ruins, the pulsing artifact glowing brighter with every step. The air around it vibrated with raw energy, dangerous and wild, behind her. The sounds of battle echoed the settlers and Deathworlders holding, the line struggling against the endless waves of monstrous creatures. Sweat dripped down Mira's face. Her hands trembled as she reached the artifact's core chamber. The glowing pulse was almost blinding now. She pulled out her tools, working quickly to dismantle the ancient device. Sparks flew, circuits hummed, and the energy surged unpredictably. Suddenly, a deep rumble shook the ground. Mira's heart pounded. The artifact fought back, as if alive, resisting her efforts. At that moment, Alina and Karos appeared at the chamber entrance, weapons ready. "We won't let anything stop you," Alina said, her voice fierce. Karos grunted in agreement, eyes sharp. "Finish this, or we all die." Mira nodded, pushing herself faster. Just as her tools connected to the core, a shadow moved behind them. A massive creature, larger and more terrifying than any before, crashed into the chamber. Its eyes burned with hatred, its claws reaching for the team. Alina stepped forward. Firing her blaster, Karos roared, charging with brutal force. The fight was desperate, every second counting. With a final spark, Mira disabled the artifact's core. The glowing pulse faded, and a shockwave rippled through the ruins. The monstrous creature howled, weakening before retreating into the darkness. Outside, the skies cleared. The monstrous attacks ceased. The colony breathed a sigh of relief. Alina looked at Karos, respect in her eyes. "We survived, but at what cost?" Karos nodded slowly. "The Deathworlders may be dangerous, but today they saved this world." Uneasy Alliance had become a lifeline, but far beyond the stars. New threats stirred, and the galaxy was watching. The colony stood silent under the pale light of twin moons. The battle was over, but the cost weighed heavy in the air. Buildings lay in ruins. The ground was scarred from the fierce fight. Captain Alina Carter walked among her people, offering words of hope, but feeling the weight of uncertainty inside. The Deathworlders gathered nearby, their dark armor battered but unbowed. Commander Karos watched the horizon, his eyes sharp and unreadable. "This world is still dangerous, he said quietly to Alina. But together, you proved strength can come from unlikely places. Alina nodded.
Your warrior saved us, but
Trust will take time. We survived the storm, but what about the next? A deep rumble shook the ground beneath their feet. A reminder that the ancient forces awakened by the artifact were not fully gone. Somewhere deep below, shadows stirred once more. Mira joined them, exhaustion clear on her face. The artifact is silent for now, but its power, it's still here, waiting. Lena's gaze hardened. We must be ready. The galaxy won't. Forget what happened here. Cardo smirked, a rare flicker of respect in his eyes. Deathworlders are always ready. We'll answer the call no matter how dark the future. As the two leaders stood together, the stars above blinked cold and distant. The universe was vast, and its dangers endless. But in the heart of the battle-worn colony, a new alliance had been born, one forged in fire, blood, and survival, and the story was far from over.